This is a Clouds weather alert.
Meteorologist Casey Cloud live here in the Weather Center on this Saturday morning, tracking a severe thunderstorm warning to about 9:30 a.m. for portions of Nassau County here. As you see that yellow box on the screen, so let me go ahead and zoom on in. We're seeing even a little bit of weak rotation with this just west of I-95. So we need to make sure folks are inside and away from windows here. Make sure you're inside and away from windows here in Nassau County. As we're tracking things here, you see we have our other mode of the Doppler up right now, and around the Italia area there, that's where we're wanting to make sure folks are taking precautions here around State Road A1A here as we're looking at the situation. So again, this is some pretty nasty weather here as we're looking. Watching that rotation is instrumental for a possible tornado. Tornadoes can develop quickly from severe thunderstorms. If you spot a tornado go at once into a small center room in a sturdy structure here, I know for your protection, you want to make sure you're on that interior room. You're in that interior room on the lowest floor of a sturdy building. A large hail, damaging winds, some threats here. We just got another statement in now, mainly rural areas of northeastern Nassau County here, as we're seeing 7 miles northeast of Callahan now, is where the worst of this is, moving northeast at 25 miles an hour. Hazards are 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts and possible tornadoes. So, watching things here and tracking them, going between some of the different modes here. This is some pretty inclement weather here along this line, just north of the Jacksonville Airport, as we're looking at things there with the Jacksonville radar site. So again, just trying to keep you guys up to date here this morning. Trying to make sure you guys have the very latest information here. As the situation does develop, we're in alert mode, of course. It's going to be very busy here as we look at things. And now some other areas of spin that we'll have to monitor here as well. I know we have some stronger thunderstorms toward the I-75 corridor. We'll have to watch towards like areas further over in North Central Florida. Those don't look as impressive right now. And then there's clearing for a while before we get to more storms that are even maybe more impressive here at points as we look at the Doppler perspective toward the Florida Panhandle. With a couple tornado warnings out there toward the Mobile area early this morning, and the parameters are more favorable with some of the activity further out toward the west. So we'll have to just monitor that very, very carefully here as we're looking at things and as we're tracking them here this morning. So again, just trying to give you guys the very latest on exactly what is going on here. As I'm going to go ahead and look here at some of the information. Again, we have a tornado possible tag on this severe thunderstorm warning. So definitely something to note here. Definitely something to note as we're getting the latest information in. Just trying to see what we can pull on up here as the situation does transpire. Again, severe thunderstorm warning with a tornado possible tag. We're watching this there. It's moving in the direction of Becker there in Nassau County. And if this were to tighten up, a tornado warning could be required. So we'll just have to make sure we're paying attention here. Watching this very, very carefully, obviously. Let's see if we can pull off some type of camera shot here in the area from the Florida 511 perspective. I'm going to go ahead and go to one of these here right now. Give you an idea of what we're looking at there. This is toward mile marker 376.7. There I-95 at mile marker 376.7. And you kind of look there maybe at the... I'll see if I can point it out a little bit. I don't see it very good, but right there toward just right before you get to the tree line there, you can kind of see the lower part of the clouds there. But again, gonna be a very rainy pattern. There's a flood watch as we're looking across parts of the area. There's Tallahassee County, a lot of them with a flood watch there in play. Let me move away from this mode just for a second here. I'm going to keep looking at some of the different camera views here. So here you go. Mile marker 375.7. Nassau County, 7 thunderstorm warning, 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts possible, and there's some weak rotation as well. Again, continuing to stick with this here on a Saturday morning. As we have for the latest updates. Go a little bit further south at 95 here, you can really see the storyline. And this is not fun weather to be out in at all here. I'll switch this view on the screen now. You can see this is I-95 mile marker 374.7. You can see some of these brake lights here, even in the side as we're looking there. As you can barely make them out, to be quite honest. You really have to look close. It's not the side coming toward the camera view, but the side where the vehicle are moving away from it. Yeah, you can kind of see them now some. This is a pretty dramatic shot. As we're looking at things this morning, again toward Nassau County, got this severe thunderstorm warning that is in play until 9:30 a.m. So another 10 minutes or so. Severe thunderstorm warning, tornado possible tag with this severe thunderstorm warning that is in play. So again, these are not fun weather conditions at all, obviously. So our tasting were to tighten up anymore, they'd have to go with the tornado warning. Just continue to effort more camera views here. We'll go a little bit further south here. We won't be too far away from Yulee here with this view. Mile marker 372.7. Again, severe thunderstorm warning for Nassau County for another 9 minutes. That's officially the storyline. May see some type of extension, we shall see, but I'm just continuing to give you guys the very latest here on what's happening, on what's going on here. See some of that red and green there, moving toward I-95. I know pretty strong storms right over Duval. Doesn't look severe in toward Duval right now, but we'll pay attention. You know, toward I-75, we have some pretty nasty weather. We have significant weather advisories out that way. And then we have more storminess, you know, that we'll be watching here through the day off the radars like the Eglin Air Force Base radar. You know, side of things to come out there. As I'll go ahead and also switch on over. You know, our slight risk now for today is tornado driven. It's from about Tallahassee westward. That yellow area there, that's a 5% tornado risk. Your hail risk is this. Your wind risk is this. So marginal otherwise here as we're looking. But slight, which is a level higher, a 2 out of 5. As we look at that tornado risk, which gives you the slight risk for today. From about Tallahassee through areas like Quincy there and Bainbridge and Donaldsonville, Blakely. As we're looking, of course, Apalachicola there in that as what the coastline, but we see all these supercell composite values really coming into play toward the west here. Tornado parameters as well, and instability trying to inch in, so this could be pretty active depending on how things set up as we get later on in the day, depending on how the convection pattern sets up. If you get too much ahead, it might stop some of that, but if not, then we could definitely have some tornado warnings later on toward the Florida Big Bend as we get toward the afternoon. So this makes you have multiple ways to get alerts here as we're tracking things. I know mesoscale discussion rise talking about here, long-lived MCS on the blue circle there to the east that's moved inland across the Florida Big Bend region this morning. This system they're saying and discussing has generally been subsevere so far since moving inland and has shown signs of weakening, but filtered downstream heating there of a moist air mass results in has been resulting in the instability approaching 1,000 joules per kilogram here this morning. This can allow some intensification of the remnant cluster approaches northeast Florida with an attendant threat of locally damaging winds, and storms developing ahead of this cluster could also approach severe limits this morning. So only a 20% chance of a watch cell, and then this one out here right now, only a 20% chance of a watch. So that's good news, but that can always change here as we look ahead. If things start to become more organized, it could be more likely to issue a watch closer in toward the central Big Bend as we get later in the morning. We shall see, but we'll just have to monitor the scenario. I know definitely got to be aware if you have outdoor plans, even if you're not under a warning of any kind. There is some lighting like in Bradford County showing up as we're looking there, a strike or two as we're getting out toward areas between Brooker and Sampson. That's moving up in the general direction here of Stark and Laurie here over the next little bit. So definitely something to keep our eyes on here this morning. We're going to keep looking here at some of our different modes on the Doppler. We're going to go ahead and switch on over to this one here. As a scenario of obviously a gust about 36 miles an hour at Jacksonville International Airport. So sub-severe down there. Let me see if I can get some traffic camera viewpoints here there for you. Try to pull some of those up once again as we look at things. That's going to be very helpful in a situation like this. So here you go. This is I-95 at mile marker 374.7. There's a vantage point. It definitely is a scenario with very significantly reduced visibility. And it looks like we just got word they're dropping a severe thunderstorm warning, so that's good. It looks like it's dropped off the screen to expire, and it says at 9:30. At least it won't be in play anymore, but we have stuff just under severe limits. You have to watch some of the edges of rotation here on the Doppler very carefully, obviously. That area in particular there toward Nassau County. So have to watch the tail end here too in southern Duval. But no more warnings. It doesn't look like at the 9:30. Yeah, no more warning. That's what the situation is as we look ahead. So again, let's kind of look at some of the information here. Our forecast models are handling this very poorly, or at least they have been when I was looking at things earlier on. Let me go ahead and try to pull this on in here. I know you see a little bit of hail reported earlier on in northern Clay County, about 1/4 of an inch in diameter, but then I have some of our forecast model information overlay. I know we have temperatures here. I'll take those off, but I'll leave lighting and storm reports up and the warnings, the marine warnings and the like. We'll just kind of progress this out. I know it's pretty early here on a Saturday morning, just trying to watch things, and you see 10 a.m., 11 a.m., noon, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. This is what could happen. It may not, though, because again, the models may not be handling this well. 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 7 p.m. on this Saturday, 8 p.m., 9 p.m., 10 p.m. That's just a potential representation of what to possibly expect. And there's a flood watch in play toward the west here. And we'll look at the last 12 hours rainfall. Some areas around Columbia County picking up an inch or two. Same with Baker there and into Charlton. And kind of the general idea there. You see some of that in like Liberty County as well for that in the Panhandle. And this tail end here in southern Duval definitely looks like it's strengthening some. Like they're on the St. Johns River. Even some weak rotations showing up there. We'll try to wrap it up, but if we get another warning here in the next few moments, we'll stick with this. Obviously, we'll be on for any tornado warning storms. You know, that pop up within the 62. This wasn't, we were just tracking. An official tornado warning is a severe thunderstorm warning, but there was that tag with the rotation potential in it. Thought we better jump in there just in case things escalated. Thankfully, it didn't look like they did, but it's always better to be safe than sorry here in these type of situations. As we watch this storm now here in southern Duval County, northern Clay, you know, right on the edge of this, northern St. John's, again, right on the edge, but it's really about southern Duval. Let me see if I can pull a camera up on I-295 there. See if there's like a funnel cloud or anything. It's not impossible that we could have something like that. So bear with me. That'd be I-295. Let me go ahead and look. I know there's no official warning as we look ahead, but see if I can kind of pull up a view here of what's going on. Well, we got some pretty low hanging clouds, so let's go ahead and pull this up on our traffic system. Definitely low hanging. This is going to be, I'm going to take this off, but this is going to be I-295 western north of the old St. Augustine Road. And definitely some low hanging clouds there on that viewpoint. Just have to watch some of that rotation there. Let me see if there's any camera views that could help us out here a little bit more. Again, no official warning with this one, but definitely got to watch it. That's another view here of I-295 western old St. Augustine Road. Definitely some storms worth watching here. So we'll do that. We'll do that for you. I'll be back on if and as warranted. Again, about to wrap it up. But this storm here in Bradford County, not severe, not an advisory yet, but it's starting to pick up steam a little. We'll watch it as it moves up indoors. Dark whenever thunder roars, go indoors here. Whether there's a warning advisory or not, you don't want to be outside right now in this dark area with some lightning. With a thunderstorm coming on in, it might catch folks off guard. So, you know, if you're looking at Sampson New River, it's not severe, but I would not want to be working outside right now in this dark area with something like that coming on in. As we go ahead and look back up toward Duval, this is more substantial though. Southern Duval got some weak rotation. As we're looking here, we'll watch it. We'll watch this area of weak spin in Nassau. Some of the stuff in Camden and Glen needs to be watched here as well. Let's see if we get an upgrade to a warning at some point right along the coastline. See some of this pop-up stuff, and that could cut things off, you know, further north from being a little bit worse. But some of that could get pretty strong here as we look ahead, depending on how much instability you can really kind of get factored on in. So I think that's going to do it for this update. We're going to wrap the stream for now, but you can get that interactive radar anytime there on cloudweather.com. You know, cloudweather.com/radar there. Get that interactive radar anytime, whether we have a warning in play or not. If we have more warnings, if we do have more warnings, we'll at least post about them there for thunderstorm warnings, flash flood warning, Facebook Casey Cloud Reacts Cloud Weather, Twitter /Cloud Casey. But obviously, if there's a tornado warning or something, even, you know, We had just a thunderstorm morning, looked a little more substantial. We broke in with some live coverage and all the different streams that we got to watch out for. Flooding potential to look ahead. There's a flood watch into Ward Monday now, extended into Ward Monday for parts of those Tallahassee counties. So that's going to be something that we're monitoring here in the days to come for sure. So just keep it tuned here to cloud weather, and I'll keep you guys up to date. No warnings right now. I want to make sure we don't get another warning before I wrap it. Because we'll stick with this if we get another warning, but if it's a severe thunderstorm warning even, but and we'll pop back in as warranted for any of that, the flash flood warning, and obviously any tornado warning will be on immediately, as it's been on for every single one in the last 5+ years here in the Weather Center for our 62 counties. So again, we're in Bradford County, but we're watching out for all 62 counties, Duval, Nassau, St. John's there, watching that vicinity up into Camden and Glen as well, and George. But again, that's going to do it for now. Stay tuned, stay safe. We'll break back in if and as needed.